Hi Qobuz, this is Jamila Woods from Chicago talking about my music.
I used to be afraid of myself, hung my smile on a shelf, hit my teeth when I laughed. Now I'm far too grown for your plot, for your bomb. Will you root for me?
I feel like a lot of times Chicago doesn't get as much shine or love as cities like LA or New York, so I grew up feeling like I had a lot of pride in being from Chicago, and it's also like historically a very worker-oriented, like blue-collar town, so I think it has the spirit of grind or like whatever you want to do, like really buckling down and working for it, because there's not really going to be a way forward unless you put in the work. It's a collaborative city in terms of art, and there's a lot of communities and spaces where it's easy to connect with people. Like, everyone does like 5 things in Chicago, and I think that lends itself to collaboration and experimentation. Even if you haven't tried something before, Chicago is like a good place to try something new.
You wanna call me? 100 motherfuckers can't tell me how I'm supposed to.
I listened to a lot of my parents' music when I was younger, so it was like a lot of really amazing female vocalists, Alanis Morissette, Whitney Houston. It's pretty eclectic range from like Motown to listening to some of the like folk or bluegrass artists my mom liked. And my mom also played guitar, and me and my siblings would learn her songs and sing them with her when I was younger.
Must be disconcerting how I discombobulate your mode.
I think I realized the power of poetry when I was in high school, and I was part of an after-school program. I was apprenticing, learning about spoken word poetry. And in my first open mic, I remember just how incredible it felt to be in a room full of young people my own age, who were silent, just listening to every single word I was saying. Because in my high school, I didn't really experience that. I didn't have any other context for feeling that way, and it was a very powerful feeling that came from reading my poem and having people come up to me afterwards and being like, I feel that same way. It made me really feel seen.
How many times do I sit and listen to you? I don't know why I keep sitting and listening to you.
Young Chicago Authors is a nonprofit organization in Chicago, and I'm the Associate Artistic Director there, which means I help program the space and also teach workshops and mentor students. We host one of the largest youth poetry festivals in the world called Louder Than a Bomb. And every year it's amazing to see the platform that gives to young people from all over the city to talk about the issues that are important to them. That's one of my favorite times of year because you get to really see what young people are thinking about, as opposed to just hearing, the stereotypes or the assumptions that adults often make about young people. With poetry, there's a bit more freedom in some ways because it's just, at least for me, I don't have any restrictions on my form unless I'm putting it there, unless I'm trying to do a certain form. But when I'm trying to write lyrics, there's literally a bar that I'm trying to fit my words into. I feel like I'm kind of a dense songwriter because I love words so much. So part of what I try to do is, I approach songwriting as a poet, but at the same time, I'm trying to distill and think about economy of words and not just being super wordy, but how can my words have the most impact? It kind of came organically. I was just teaching this poem called Ego Trippin' by Nikki Giovanni, and I was asking my students to write a cover poem, basically just a poem inspired by that poem, and I ended up writing a song inspired by that poem. Basically, the poem is about celebrating yourself and kind of in this hyperbolic, exaggerated way saying how awesome you are. And so I just wrote a song that was in that same spirit. I wrote another song called Muddy that was kind of similar. I just realized, okay, I have 2 songs named after people, I might as well keep going. And then I made a list of all the people who I felt like were in my artistic lineage, and I just, as an exercise, just started writing songs that were almost like looking at my life or looking at my surroundings through the lens of that person. Like, so not like writing a biographical song about James Baldwin, but being like, what would James Baldwin think if he was walking through my neighborhood that's like, or reading this news article about something that happened in Chicago, what would he say about it? Now I think Basquiat I really love, because it's like a 7-minute song, but I don't think it feels like a 7-minute song. I think it's like pretty engaging the whole way through. And I like how it transforms from, it sounds kind of like a rock vibe, and then there's like a hip hop beat that drops in like 4 minutes in, and it kind of transforms. So I like that the song kind of evolves. And I was trying out this thing where, because you know how Basquiat, he'll always write words in his paintings and cross them out, and he said he crossed them out because he wanted people to try to look and see what they were saying. So I was trying to do something like that with my vocals in that song, where I kind of like distorted them, and it's because I want people to like be like, what was she saying, and try to figure it out until later you can hear them clearly. I like that you said like comparing an artist to a journalist, because I think a lot of the artists that I admire, there is that journalistic quality or quality of observing their surroundings, and not just observing them, but kind of like a speaking truth to power. Like if there's something going on that's not being talked about, talking about it, or if there's something that's being told only in one light or kind of in a monolithic way, making it more broad, making it more expansive. So I think about Gwendolyn Brooks as a poet still in that way. And yeah, I think that's what I think of as an artist, as someone who's reporting on the world around them and also expressing themselves authentically in a way that's their true voice. Because I think it's easy, when, especially as a young artist, to be emulating other people, or to be, that's part of how I found my voice, was, being inspired by other people. But I think with this project, that question of what will your legacy be is like, okay, you're inspired by these people, but what are you adding to it? What are you bringing that's from your voice? And so that's truly the artists that I admire have really found their voice and honed in on it. Bye, Qobuz. Thanks for listening and watching.